Many people want to help others, but haven't figured out how to help themselves. The hardest thing you will ever do in life is take care of yourself well. It's so hard that people distract themselves and try to take care of other people, justifying neglecting their own self care. And I've been down that road. It's not easy because we are taught that sometimes being selfish is a bad thing, and sometimes, to be honest with you, it's easier to focus on someone else than to focus on ourselves. The hardest person to change is the one in the mirror, and that's the only one you can change, so focus on that. So I'm going to give you 3 specific things that you can do, that I do, to take care of yourself well. Focus your mind, focus your energy, and that's what we're going to do on 3 specific things. We're not going to talk in general speaking terms. The number one thing you can do and have to do to take care of yourself well is manage your time. Time management. Forget about a diet, forget about getting a promotion, forget about getting a divorce. Believe it or not, the first step to taking care of yourself well is managing your time. It's been said, and it's true, that time is the ultimate resource because you can't get any more of it. You can go bankrupt and then regain wealth. You can go through a bad breakup or divorce and then find another special person. You can do a lot of things where you lose and then you get back, but you can never get back time. And what I found in my own personal experience is if you can't manage time well, you won't do good at a job, you won't do good on your diet, you won't do good in life. And time management begins and ends with waking up early. And if you don't wake up early, the only excuse, because there are some people who are naturally night owls, they have a rhythm in their body, they do better at night. The only excuse not to wake up early is if you work the night shift. And if you are the type of person that you don't function good during the day, then get a night shift job. I worked the night shift for about 5 years or so, and it has many good attributes, especially if you're an introvert. You don't have to work with many people, and you're working when everyone's sleeping, and therefore when everyone's working, you're off, so you can, drive without dealing with traffic and dealing with a lot of stress because it's easier to manage. But for the vast majority of people, wake up early. And what does early mean? Get specific. Well, I want to say, between 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. I would say no later than 8 a.m. If you're waking up past 8 a.m., you're waking up in a deficit. Now, again, if you're up all night and you don't go to sleep till 8 a.m., you're in a whole nother ballpark. You got to get a night shift job or change your habits. And what you have to do is eat a healthy breakfast. That's part of management of time, that you allocate a certain time when you wake up to eat breakfast. When you skip breakfast, you don't allocate time. Then you allocate a certain portion of time to start your job or to start something you're productive in, whether it's a corporate job, DoorDash, or whatever you do, clean houses. And you learn not to get overwhelmed by your job or by a big task, but to break it down to small steps and put different projects throughout the course of the day and stay flexible so that you eat away at certain tasks, and at the end of the day, through small steps, you've accomplished them. You take breaks during the day. That's managing your time. You take a lunch during the day. That's managing your time. You go for a walk during the day. That's managing your time. So you're learning to take care of yourself through time management. But if you don't learn that principle, your whole life, your whole day is wasted. When your day's wasted, you have a lot of energy at night. You're up all night. You probably took a nap. You probably ate unhealthy. And you're looking for someone on the internet or someone on TV to save you. They can't save you. You can only save yourself through time management. I remember when I was overweight, severely overweight, obese, when I was living in a condo in New Jersey. And there was a community pool. I lived in a community. And there was a girl there I knew. She was at the pool too. And we were just having small chat about nothing. And she got to the pool. She was swimming. She goes, "Hey, Sam, how are you?" So I'm doing good. And we were just talking real quick. And she looked at her time and she did some laps in the pool. And then she would take a break and we would stop. We would talk about a bunch of stuff. And I was sitting my big ass right in the pool, just letting that sun hit me. And she did that a couple times. She took a break. She talked to me. She'd go swim laps. And then she would look at her time. She goes, "All right, Sam, it's time for me to go to the next thing." That was the first time in my adult life that I got a visual reference to time management. She didn't just go in the pool and waste time. She went there for recreation, exercise, and socialization. And she did all three, and then she exited. The best, or one of the most important parts of time management, is knowing when to leave the conversation, when to hang up the phone, when to stop the live feed, when to go to the next task. What we learn in school, one of the major things that I got from school, which was a great lesson, is when you take a test. Let's say you're taking a test with 20 questions, and they're all multiple choice. And you get to one test question and you can't figure it out. And so what you're taught is skip that question and go to the next, because you don't want to waste time on something it's not efficient. You're not figuring it out. There's plenty of other things to do in the day. And that's part of a flexible mind. Sometimes you got to leave something to go to the next thing so that you don't waste time focusing on something that maybe you can't fix. Time management. It's the end all be all. No one talks about it. It's not a sexy thing. It's not Jenny Craig. It's not church gospel. It's time management. The one resource that you get no more of. It keeps your diet structured. It keeps your sleep cycle structured. It keeps your day structured. It keeps you moving forward, because you realize if you catch yourself staring in space, you're also looking at the clock and saying, "You know what? By this time, I got to go to the next thing." Many people are lost because they don't know what to do with time. Know what to do with your time. And if you don't know what to do, like I always tell you, go for a walk. And as you go for a walk more than 10 minutes, things will come to you. Then write them down in your phone and put reminders every couple hours what to do next. Time management. One of the only ways you can take care of yourself. Number two. The number two way to take care of yourself, prioritizing. Prioritizing. What does that mean? Well, that means you got 3 things to do today. Okay. And you have to figure out in what order you should do them. And the first order is you have to take care of yourself. Okay. The second order may be you have to take care of what pays you, whether your job or whatever. Now, sometimes that's a gray line. Okay, because sometimes you have to sacrifice for whatever pays you. Okay, however, there's a balance there that if you manage your time well, you can prioritize what you need to do for yourself, what you need to do for your job, then everything else comes third, fourth, and fifth. If you quit your job to take care of your mother, but you have no money coming in, who's going to take care of you? If you don't take care of your health and your health goes down a hill and you try and take care of a boyfriend or girlfriend, who's going to take care of you? You have no priorities. You're trying to take care of someone else. You've neglected yourself. And eventually you'll need to borrow money from someone. Eventually you're going to end up obese. Eventually you're going to end up a drug addict. Why? Because you didn't have priorities. Your priorities got cloudy. You didn't focus on your well-being, your job, and then other things. And all of a sudden, someone else, something else became a priority above you and your source of income. And now you're screwed. What's the number one cause of divorce? Financial instability. Should you put your job before your family? No, but if you don't have a job, you're not going to have a family. Okay. And look, you're not going to have your independence. And look, if you're on disability or if you're on Social Security, if you're retired, then wherever priority your job came in, now self-care and whatever you're doing with your extra time, whether it's a hobby, a side hustle, whatever. And if you can't figure out how to manage your time, your social worker will. Okay. Someone else will. You prioritize your life, and you deal with the consequences based on how you prioritize. You know, you're spending all this time shopping for stuff to sell on Amazon so you can flip it, but you've neglected prioritizing going to the gym. You've neglected your main job for your side job. I always tell you, never neglect your main job for your side job. Okay. Priorities. Number 3, learn to say no and learn to deal with people leaving your life. Every time you set a boundary, there's a war. Why? Because people feel entitled to space in your life. Your family member feels entitled to space in your life because they raised you. Your boss feels entitled to your life because they gave you a job opportunity. Your friend feels entitled to space in your life because they saved you from going to jail. You should respect and be thankful and show that gratitude to everyone in your life who's helped you. But there will come a day where you'll have to say no to a family member, a friend, or a coworker if it intrudes on your boundaries. However, there will be consequences. So you better be damn sure when you say no or when you cut someone out of your life, you are prepared for the consequences. Because all war has consequences. You cut your father out of your life, there goes your inheritance. You cut your boyfriend or girlfriend out of your life, there goes the extra money for the rent. You decide to have a major disagreement with a coworker or your management, there goes your boss, there goes your job. However, if you're doing the first 2 things right, managing your time, prioritizing your life, your life should be in order and not chaotic. And so when you do need to set a boundary or cut someone off, it's not reckless, it's not over emotional, and it should not get you in an amount of trouble that will destroy your life. But when you try to cut people off and tell people how it is and create boundaries, when you don't do the first 2 things, you'll do things out of order. Don't start cutting people off and setting boundaries if you haven't learned to manage your time and if you haven't learned how to prioritize your life, because then you're not thinking straight. There's a scripture that says God is not a God of disorder, but of order, peace. Okay. And those who cannot manage their own house should not be leaders. You got to manage your own life. You're trying to manage your daughter's life and you're obese. You can't help someone else when you yourself need help. Love is a great gift. You can love people, and that's a blessing from the Lord. Never neglect love. However, I know plenty of people that are loving, but their life is a disaster, and I respect God's grace on their life for giving them the gift of love, which is the ultimate gift, but I would never follow their example, and I have learned to say no to them, cut them out of my life, and even though it's painful, or I set a boundary, I have to do what I have to do because I've learned to manage my time and set priorities. You have to learn to take care of yourself or else you'll be controlled by someone else. The incentive to take care of yourself is so that you're not controlled by someone else. When you're controlled by someone else, the tail wags the dog. The drug addict runs the family. The obese person cooks the dinner. Order in your life. Change yourself, not someone else. You're trying to help someone else, but you've neglected yourself. You can never do it. You can volunteer at 1,000,000 soup kitchens, and I've done it. You can go volunteer at church, and I've done it. You can try to help a family member. You can try to do 1,000,000 things, but until you've learned to take care of yourself, you can't do shit. You're going to be sitting there drinking beer, trying to tell someone else how to live a great life. And they're going to be looking at you like, your life, you got to set a date yourself at night. I remember being on a street corner with a bunch of friends at a college in Jersey City, St. Peter's. And we were just hanging out. And I was starting to get, in my early 20s, I was starting to get a little philosophy in my mind. I always had an old soul. And I remember I was like kicking knowledge, so to speak, like on the corner, and we were drinking. And a friend laughed at me. He goes, Sam, look at you trying to kick knowledge over there drinking a 40 ounce. And it's true. You know, just like I remember being on a construction site and there was a guy that was real in shape and I was working on getting in shape. And there was some fat guy that came in the room and he tried to tell us about how to lose weight. And when he left the room, the in shape guy said, Sam, I would never listen to a fat guy tell me how to get in shape. You can learn from anyone. You can learn from a crooked pastor who got a blowjob from his side piece. However, until you've learned to say no to your pastor when they've decided to raise funds for a church building, but they haven't taken care of what they need to take care of, then you have to walk away from that church. You have to set boundaries. And you have to know when it's time to leave. But when you leave, there's going to be consequences. The same church or the same family member that you sat there and you broke bread with, once you separate from, there's vengeance. We're no longer friends. That's it. There's consequences. You can never go back. You don't set boundaries and not have consequences. That's why you got to do the first two things. You got to get your shit in order before you decide to start before you decide to start cutting people out and setting it straight, you got to get your shit in order because you're going to face a lot of resistance. Why? Because most people don't have their shit together. It's very hard. Even when you have your shit together, then you have the job of sustaining it. Like, you can make the economy skyrocket, but can you sustain it? You could build a big casino, but can you sustain it? Most people can't. Sustainability. You can be a rocket ship, but most rocket ships crash. You want to learn how to sustain flight. That's the difference between an emotional person and a wise person. A wise person is willing to grow incrementally and have the slowest recovery ever rather than rocket ship and crash. Wisdom over emotion. Take care of yourself. Okay. Most people aren't. Physically, financially, emotionally. I never knew what emotional health was. You know what physical health is, you know what mental health is, you know what financial health is, emotional health. Emotional health is part of your physical, mental, spiritual, and financial health. It's like a subdivision. And you're weaker emotionally when you're out of shape physically, when you're destitute financially. You're empowered emotionally when you got your shit together physically, financially, spiritually. Emotional health is a subdivision of self-care. All of us have emotional health. The most mentally stable, the most physical fit. But until you feel good about yourself, your emotions are going to trend downwards. Even me, guys, I'm taking care of myself. I'm in a good zone. I still face the negative emotions. I make videos about them so that you know life is real. And I'm able to persevere through them by the grace of God because I stay humble and through these good self-care practices. Because you best believe as you get older, you know people that die, you go through heartache, you separate from people. You best believe it's even harder to take care of yourself as you get older. When you're older, and I'm talking about above 60, the hardest thing to do in life is to shower, take care of yourself, hygiene. And you're sitting there in bed and you're thinking about all the sad memories, emotional health. You're sitting there in bed because you're not managing your time. And everything else suffers. To live your truth is not just to tell people how it is. To live your truth is to tell yourself how it is. You got to wake up every day and say, look, this is how it is. Stretch, love to you, brother. You keep showing up, Stretch. Got 2 jobs, Home Depot and Planet Fitness, and you keep showing up because you're a positive person. And if you mess up at your job, you show up the next day. And don't go around telling people how it is. Every day you wake up, you say, I'm going to go to work today. Tell yourself how it is because you're a leader. You're a positive person. And never let someone turn you bitter. Okay. You're a leader, Stretch. You're a good man. Positive person. Don't be scared to keep showing up. If you get some negative feedback from a coworker at Planet Fitness, or some psychopath in the gym, or some manic depressant humping around lumber in Home Depot, you know what I want you to do when you're really lost and you don't know what to say? This is what I want you to do, Stretch. Just smile and go like this. Every time you're upset and you want to lose your cool, smile and go like this. Because everyone who lost their cool is now suffering. How do you take care of yourself? Don't lose your cool. Don't quit your job. Don't get in the road rage. Don't get in a fist fight. Smile and go like this. Keep your mouth shut. Just smile and go like this. When in doubt, don't say anything. Why? Because you'll be better off for it. You'll take care of yourself well. Good job, Stretch. Love to you, brother. Praying for you every day, and I'm very grateful for you. Very grateful. This is a great message tonight that I feel in my soul. Not easy. Don't try to make it complicated, though. Keep this simple. And I hope this message helped you in some way. I want to thank Stretch. I want to thank all my members who support the channel. Love to you. Stretch, thank you. I appreciate you, man. Kill him with kindness. Yes. And at the job, in your personal life, you have more liberty to be more direct. Okay? And there are certain times, even in a professional setting, where you have to be firm. But you can be firm and be kind. And most people are not looking to hurt you. So all you're doing when you smile is you're not smiling and nodding forever. You're giving yourself time to digest the situation. And if down the road, hours later, days later, weeks later, you need to address it in a more professional manner, you can do it. But when you address it through emotion, you suffer. So when you're struggling or when you feel like, oh shit, I don't like this, that's when you need to buy yourself time. That's when you go into a shutdown, okay? Like, you know, when the country went to shutdown for the coronavirus, all they were trying to do is buy the system time, buy the hospital's time, buy the political system time to figure it out. So when you smile and go like this, you're just shutting down conflict, buying yourself time. Come up with a plan. Come up with a plan, that's all. A wise plan, not an emotional. Good job, man. It's not easy. But knowing this, being conscious of this, you'll do better. You'll at least have some, and all of us, we all go through this. I'm human. I'm still going through it every day. And some days we fail. If you fall, you get back up. So you need a lot of emotional strength to fail and get back up. But that's life. You're going to need to do it. Let them watch. Let them laugh. Let them ridicule. Your personal space, you can be full liberty to be yourself. Okay. In your professional space, you play the political game. Why? Because that's the protocol. Upscale, what's up, man? Yeah, nomad all day, be free. Well, you're a nomad. I'm a nomad. Stretch is a nomad. Okay. Stretch is living out of an SUV, I believe, very nice one. Okay, working 2 jobs. Again, Planet Fitness and Home Depot. You can live in your car and work the night shift. Okay. You can live in your car and work any job. Never forget it. And my man Upscale is living full-time in his Class C, fully self-contained RV. It's a house on wheels. I'm living in my Jeep Renegade, have for 4 years. Okay. And so what I could tell you is there's a better way out there. It's not necessarily living in your car, but it is getting control of your life. Okay. And if it evolves to living in your car or living in a smaller place, then so be it. That's your decision. And that if that causes some people in your family or friends to get upset, so be it. But get your shit in order before you start calling the shots, because there will be consequences. Upscale. Stay busy, Stretch. You already know what it is, Stretch Smart Man. Ain't gonna kill you. Nope. The more money you have, the more productive you are, the more options you have. Okay. And again, if you're elderly, retired, disabled, you do whatever you can do, how you can do it. But for my younger, middle-aged people that are able body and mind, keep all your options open. Why? Maximize your independence. Why? Because I want you to live life on your terms as much as possible. 100. Tony, what's up, man? Shout out to Canada. Love to you guys, man. Love to all my members. Thank you. Let's take a hydration break. If I don't know what to say, what do? I smile. I go like this. Hydration break. Buy myself time. Yeah, we're teaching life lessons tonight, guys. Tony, love to you, man. He goes, today, I bit my tongue when I disagreed with a coworker. Great job. I thought it's better to let it go. Keeping my job is a major priority. You nailed it, Tony. Let me tell you something. The next direct deposit that comes in your account, you will thank God that you prioritized your life and you bit your tongue. So God bless you and every future direct deposit that you have in your life. Because if a job gets so toxic that you can't work there, secure another job, give your 2-week notice, and exit so gracefully that, oh man, the Lord's blessings be upon you. But most times it's not time to exit. It's just time to go like this. Good job. Tony, I had to I held my tongue. Now I hear you. So proud of you, Tony, man. Me and you vibe. You're a good person, positive, and you know what it takes to live your best life. Some sacrifice. Good job. Upscale. Sam, do you have a 12-volt cooler? No. Or don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about it. When I initially started taking road trips, before I lived in my car, I had a cooler. And changing the ice and food would get wet. I realized that was a waste of time and money. If you live efficiently and manage your time and periodically go to the store to get food, it's cheaper than having a cooler for me personally. Everyone's different. So that's what too, when I look at an RV, I say I really don't need a refrigerator or a cooktop. Why? Because I have learned through the course of the past 4 years living on my Jeep, I do better to get Starbucks in the morning, have a protein bar, a Starbucks in the afternoon, have a bagel with butter, and then at night go to the supermarket and get fresh salad or something like that and just make the mixing. So I prioritize my life where I'm willing to spend $20 to $35 a day in food. Why? Because I've been obese, okay? And I'm not going to shop at the Dollar Tree for my food. Now, if I was on a budget and I lost my job and I had to DoorDash and I had to cut things, then I would go back down to $10 a day. But right now, I am comfortable with spending $20 to $35 per day in food and drink-related expenses. Now, sometimes I keep it pretty close to 20. Sometimes I go above 30. So I have structured my life where I built up my savings account. I've paid off my debt. I maintained a job. And so I have the liberty to do that because I've been obese. And I can tell you this too, being obese, I spent more money in food when I was obese than I ever did eating healthy. Because if I averaged out, because if you go out to eat or if you order a bunch of pizzas on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you calculate the ice cream and everything else you eat, you're going to spend more money eating unhealthy than you will healthy. So just make a mental note in your mind that when people say, I'm too broke to eat healthy, what they're really saying is, I don't know how to prioritize my life or manage my time. I'm lazy. And so if it's not on the dollar menu, I don't know what to buy. They don't want to learn about nutrition. They don't want to manage their time. What they want to do is just, if it ain't on the dollar menu, then I can't afford it. But that's an uneducated mind. And it's not, I've been there. I've been there. Something in your head just doesn't click. But what I can tell you is let it click and work on growing yourself. Because no matter who you are, with the internet now, all of us have access to information. And that's how I learned most of my information, because I was brought up on fast food. And I thank God I was, because that's the time to eat. But my mom, every day after work, because I grew up mainly my mom raising 3 kids. She was a single mother for most of my life. She would bring home fast food at the end of the day, and I loved it. And I thank God for it. But what I'm trying to tell you is I didn't really understand nutrition. When I got older and became an adult, I had to take accountability for my nutrition, and I had to learn and grow. So, that's part of being an adult. You got to figure it out for yourself. And now with the internet and all the information, like I said, I watched the movie Fork Over Knives on Netflix back then. And I learned to read the food labels. And I learned, when in doubt, go for a walk, just to stay productive. And it really helped me out a lot. So good comment. Love to you, Upskill. ESP, what's up? Shout out to Alaska. When I've been stopping by my mom's house, trying to make the most of it now for the next few days, we've been watching buying houses in Alaska. So I saw Fairbanks, Alaska, Kodiak, Alaska. A lot of the houses in Alaska don't have running water, don't have electrical power to the grid. Why? They're in such harsh conditions that they're like campgrounds. And they have outhouses, they have solar, and they don't have running water, they haul water. So it's almost like the RV life. So I didn't know that, so I guess that's why there are some nomads in Alaska, because it's like that outdoor RV life is already ingrained in the housing. Now, obviously, they have housings in the urban areas and the cities, but many of them are on the out boondocks. Oh, Bob, $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Bob. He's got good questions. Hey, Sam. I commend you for your influence to live in my car. It's been a week now, and I'm in New York. How did you survive the winter, and when does it get really cold? Great question. Well, right now, Bob, again, I spent 2 winters living in my vehicle in New Jersey. And right now is a great time. Why? Because the cooler temperatures now are actually great for car living. With a blanket and with a layer or 2 of clothes, you're great. And even all the way to December and January, you're fine. What I recommend you do is go to Walmart and get the 20 or 10 degree Fahrenheit sleeping bag. The 10 degree Fahrenheit sleeping bag is in red. The 20 degree Fahrenheit sleeping bag, which I had, is in light brown and cream. And get that. I think they're around $50 or $60. They're worth every penny. Because once you get to January, February, March, those are your 3 tough months, and mainly February, March. January, mainly February, March. Once you start to get into the teens and single digits, you're good all the way till you get to the teens and single digits. That's when you need that sleeping bag, several layers of clothes, several layers of socks, and there's going to be a few tough weeks. Not going to be easy, but you're going to sleep great from now all the way till January with just a couple layers of clothes and a sleeping bag. Be fine. So the main thing and how I got sick was not being in my car. It was when during the day I would be out of my sleeping bag, leaving my car, going to the office, or leaving my car and going to the store. I wouldn't bundle up and put my scarf and put all my layers of clothes back on. I would only layer up my clothes and put my scarf on when I was getting ready at night. And what happened was when I would go from my car to the office or my car to the supermarket during the day, the wind chill and not having all my layers on, that 5 minutes or whatever, that's what gets you. But I hope that answers you. Again, go to Walmart, get the 20 degree Fahrenheit or 10 degree Fahrenheit sleeping bag. It's worth, even if you have to spend $100. That, layer up with clothes, you'll be fine. February, March will be a little bit tough. But if you're relatively young, or I would say even below 60 or below 70 years of age, and you don't have any major health problems, you should be fine. That's a great question, and thank you for that tip. I appreciate you, Bob, and best of luck to your brother. Remember, Bob, and we're going to go back to all live comments. Remember, Bob or anyone, what you're trying to do is sustain the nomadic life. You're not trying to prove anything to anyone. So how do you sustain it? Okay, by taking it one day at a time. When it gets hard, remember that living in your house or apartment gets hard. Now, you have the temperature control in your apartment or house, but you have the liability of cleaning, of maintenance, and the financial entanglements. Everything has pros and cons. So there's a scripture that says, don't get weary in well-doing. What I like to say to the nomad life is don't get weary in the nomad life, because if you go back to the conforming life, you're going to get temperature control, but it's not going to be heaven. There's always going to be a negative. So if you can bear out some extreme temperature until you can travel with the seasons, and I haven't been always able to travel. And even now, I looked at the 10-day forecast. In one sense, sleeping-wise, I would be better to stay in New Jersey probably for 2 more weeks, because the weather is still relatively hot in South Florida for camping without air conditioning. So right now, you're good. And you will be good. Take it one day at a time. Remember, there's nothing perfect, even the conforming life. Set your financial objectives. Build up your savings account. Build up your savings account. Don't live in your car for nothing. And manage your time. Keep a routine. Don't sleep past 8 a.m. even if you don't have to go to work. Wake up before 8 a.m. Stay productive. What do you do when it's the dead of the winter and you live in your car in New Jersey or Alaska? You wake up and you go to Home Depot and you walk around inside Home Depot. You walk around inside Walmart. That's what I did. It sucks. It's not walking by the beach, but I did that for 2 years. Okay. You still keep a healthy routine. Your routine will save you. It will sustain you. If you don't have a healthy routine, and that's why many people living the conforming life in an apartment or house, they don't have a healthy routine. But what allows them to survive is they're in a climate-controlled, stable environment in their house or apartment with running water, with a bathroom, with a shower. They don't need to focus as much as a nomad. A nomad needs to be focused, especially living in your car or van. If you're in a fully self-contained RV at a campground, you could be a little bit more laxed. So there's but that aggression, that adrenaline will keep you alive. And that's why many people, even they retire, they got money, they go out there, they camp like in Alaska, or they camp somewhere in the boondocks, because there is a level of an adrenaline rush, of a focus, of a survival that gets us excited about life. And, so use that, lean into that energy, don't fight that, and lean into it and let it ride. Good job. Good question. Back to live comments. I appreciate all my members. I want to thank you so much. Very grateful, and thank you, Bob. Let's go back to live members. Tony, again, great job, brother. Upscale, I answered that. ESP. Today, she goes, use dry bags in the cooler. This is her opinion. They sell them at REI. Okay, I don't have too many REIs by me. And now, so again, there's many different ways that different nomads live the nomadic life. So ESP, she uses, I guess, dry bags in the cooler. I don't use a cooler, but just because I don't doesn't mean you can't. And again, every nomad has like their own setup. She was full-time nomading in an NV200. I believe now for the winter, she's going to rent a place. That's what I saw in her last video. Because the winter in Alaska, like almost the winter in New Jersey's a little bit warmer, but it's tough. So, again, what you should always do in life, take a little bit of everyone's advice, and then you're going to have to figure out what works for you. So ESP, it may work for her to have that dry bag of ice, and I respect that. And I respect everyone. So, for me, I keep things bare simple. And I'm in a Jeep Renegade, which is even smaller than an NV200. So for me, the only thing I really use my Jeep for is shelter at night and to keep the elements off me and keep the psychopaths off me. Outside of that, other than doing these live feeds and taking a break and drinking coffee, I'm either outdoors or I'm setting this up like an office, but I'm not, I don't know, I'm not cooking in here, I'm not storing food in here. And you also have to consider your environment. Like in Alaska or in a cold area, even in New Jersey, I store food and I had no problem because the cold weather in the colder states keeps bugs away. In Florida, I had no problems living in my car for 2 years in New Jersey. When I went to Florida and 1 year living in my car there, I had got like those flying roaches because it's so hot. There's so many bugs. When you go to campgrounds, if you have any food in your car, once they get in, there's an infestation. And it's disgusting, it's nasty, but it's the truth. So if you're in Florida or the deep south during the summer specifically, the bugs are out in full force. And they're there all year round because of the tropical climate. So if you keep food in your car, it better be canned food. And when you eat food, you better clean up your car. Because any little bit of crumbs in a hot environment, those bugs are going to find their way in. And it's a disaster. And that's why I don't try to keep a cooler. I don't try to store food. Some of that's because I spent a lot of time in Florida. Good comment, though, ESP. Upscale. Wow, that's a good routine. Yep, a routine is everything. It'll sustain you. Good job. Stretch, you're awesome, Sam. You are too. Mutual love and respect. Remember, there are some people that are just more abrupt and more negative than others, not necessarily because they're nasty. It's just their personality. So accept them, but keep your inner circle with people who are reciprocal in their energy and in their time and their love and their mutual admiration. Again, go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated in your personal space. In your business space, get along with everyone. Someone commented the other day on one of my videos, like it happens a lot. They said, I love your video, man, but your energy's too much. Ease up on the coffee. I blocked them. I blocked them. I blocked them. Why? Even though they gave me a great compliment, they don't respect my energy. So, or they don't understand my energy. So in my personal space, if someone can't understand or respect my energy, you no longer have access to my personal space, a boundary. Because I don't need people in my personal space not understanding my energy. Okay? There's no debate. I'm not going to try to make you understand me. I'm not going to try to convert you. No, not in my personal space. You don't have that. Nope. I'm very quick on the trigger because I've done the priority of my life. Okay? And so now you get me or you don't. Many people said, Sam, how are you going to grow a channel if you block people like crazy? Well, we're going to find out. And if the channel don't grow, I'm willing to work. So for me, I don't have to prioritize my channel above my well-being. Okay? And that's the difference. So, and that's what, if you do a side hustle, that's how you got to remember it. Okay? Because there's going to be moments that in a main job, you have to temper down. In a side hustle creativity, you have a little bit more liberty. Okay? So now it's how you want to play the game. Because to be honest, if I pandered a little bit more and I was a little bit nicer, I'll probably have a little bit bigger channel. But for me, not worth it. Priorities. Okay, everyone's different. You gotta figure that out. Stretch, love to you, man. Mutual respect. Tony, the dollar menu, total disaster. Yeah, I've been there. And my mom and many people I know still go there, and I love them. I respect them. I know that some people struggle with food. Some people struggle with drugs. Some people struggle with relationships. So I don't judge it. But I observe it, and I say, oh, Sam, I can't go back to that. And that's what gives me the strength to say, nope, I'm not doing it. And I don't mind if other people got to do them. I got to do me. And when you do you, and when you say fuck the dollar menu, who gets upset? Everyone who loves the dollar menu. And I'm not talking about just like financially, a mindset, okay? Because not about like shaming people who can only afford the dollar menu, but let me tell you this. I know people, some of my family on government assistance, and let me tell you something, okay? They can afford more than the dollar menu. They can afford to eat the proper nutrition, but they prioritize their life and spend their money with different ways, whether it's with drugs, unhealthy relationships, or whatever, okay? Their priorities are different. My priorities are different. So when you have different priorities, you ain't gonna be able to fuck with some people, okay? And some people are gonna get upset because they take it as you're looking down on them. You know what? Fuck them. Because if they think that you're looking down on them by taking care of yourself, they're not good for you. As much as they may have done for you or you may have done for them, they ain't good for you anymore. And that's when you got to get to step 3. And you got to start eliminating some people. Hate to say it, but that's part of living your best life. Upscale. Yep, I give up sports, bar food at the start of the pandemic, and I have more money now. Number one way to save money is stop eating out. Doesn't mean you can't go to the supermarket or go to Starbucks, but it means like, yeah, the sports bars and, just even the Wendy's, the McDonald's, the Chick Spot, all that stuff. That's true. Good job. Bob, I read that. Thank you again, Bob, for the tip, for your great questions. You're going to do great, brother, one day at a time. Excellent. ESP, those are dry cabins. Yeah, I did hear them reference that dry cabins. They're like tiny homes that aren't hooked up to the electrical grid or water grid. Good comment. ESP, I totally agree with you. We have a beautiful white blanket of snow. We got different priorities, ESP. We got different priorities because that's what they were saying on the show. Like, oh, the beautiful Alaska covered in white snow. I've seen New Jersey when it was buried in white snow. I've been through blizzards. I have lived through blizzards. If you look at my playlist, I was actually buried in a blizzard living in my car. And what I can tell you is not beautiful. It's disgusting. But that's for me. I respect the difference. But for me, I'm saying like, yo, maybe I could stay up in New Jersey for a couple more weeks because it's great camping weather. I mean, I could do the winter if I had to. I already did it. But if I got the choice, I worked and I earned it. I'm down in Florida for the dead of the winter. I never want to see snow again. I want to say I never, all caps, want to see snow again. But again, this is just me. I respect that ESP loves Alaska. And those people on that show, they loved Alaska. I hate Alaska. I love you, ESP. And that's what I mean. Like sometimes when you say what you feel, I know ESP understands me, but I don't mean to be disrespectful to someone who loves Alaska or someone who loves the Pacific Northwest. This is just me and like from my mindset. And I want you guys to be the same way. Like if you love Alaska, I want you to be like, fuck Florida. I love Alaska. That's what Bob Wells says. Bob Wells says, fuck Florida. I love Arizona. That's why I don't fuck with Bob Wells. But you know what I mean. Good job. She goes, the beautiful white blanket. Yeah, one winter, get that off, Mus. And it's very cozy sleeping. Well, that's true. That's the only good part. It's only around 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. Great sleeping weather all the way until you get to the teens or single digits. So the colder weather is actually excellent to sleep in your car. And that's what I've been debating looking at the 10-day forecast because I know going down all the way, if I go all the way to South Florida in one weekend, I know it's going to be a little bit too hot still. So I'm debating maybe not going all the way to South Florida initially. I don't know if I want to stay in New Jersey any longer, but I have flexibility. I will always pull my car to flexibility. That's why I sacrifice so much. So I'm not committed to anything. And that's why I live this life, like my man Upscale says, for maximum freedom. So for me, I decide I'm not on any time to, I'm on what's best for me. And if I want to change my mind today, tomorrow, I'm not in a lease, I'm not in a mortgage, I can change my mind. And even if I had the 1,000 Trails camping pass, which I may re-up on just a camping pass, then I cancel a reservation. I've done it before. So I always want to keep my commitments low because I want to maximize my flexibility. Good job. And I believe flexibility is part of self-care. I do. Because then you're more free to let anxiety roll off your shoulders. Like when you're too bogged down with commitment, your anxiety is higher because you can't get out of the situation. Like I say, always look at your exit strategy. Oh, if you buy a car, what's your exit strategy? If you buy a house, what's your exit strategy? If you buy an RV, what's your exit strategy? If you buy a membership, what's your exit strategy? Always know your exit strategy. That's why I always like exit strategies or memberships that if you want, you can get out at any time. Because that's flexibility, okay? And that's what you should always look at. Good job. Upscale. If you got to run your car, just run it during the weather, if not in a campground. Yeah, I think there was a couple times in the middle of the night, I tried that when it was very cold to start my car and run it with heat. It took out the chilly air, but then I shut it off, and then I was just like, you have to leave it running. So if you're going to leave it running with your air conditioning or heater, you got to crack your windows. And I recommend, even if you don't run your car, I always crack my windows about 1 inch or 2 inches, all windows, to let air flow. You want to keep fresh air coming in your vehicle at night, and probably a fan to circulate in most moderate temperatures. Good job. Gail. Well said, Sam. Thank you, Gail. Great to see you. Love to you. I'm praying for you. Layer up with 10 degrees sleeping bag. Yep, you know what it is. It's cozy. And you will get through the winter months. Yep, no problem. And you know what it is. Gail lives full-time in her vehicle. She's around 68. She does great. And so what I can tell you is I'm not trying to say her age, because I know that sometimes could be considered rude, but I'm saying it in a way to empower others, because I think Gail is very inspirational, okay? Because for her at 68, and I started watching YouTube, the guy who inspired me to live in my car was a guy 70 years old camping in his Prius. So age doesn't determine everything. Now, I'm honest, age determines some things, and you have to look at it, especially when it comes to an exit strategy, because that guy who was 70 camping out of his Prius, he's no longer doing it. So I want to say that this lifestyle can be done for a long period of time. And eventually, if you can travel with the weather, or even get a comfortable minivan or van or RV and stay at a campground, you're pretty much you're in an apartment in a campground. So you can do this until you need hospice, okay? You can live this lifestyle until you need hospice. And even then, hospice can come to the campground, because I've been in some Thousand Trails campgrounds where people got too old to live on the road, and now they rent a cabin in the campground. They pay about $400 or $500 a month, and that's where they retire. So, you got to do all the research, but there's another way to live other than an apartment or house. And I've done it. Other people have done it. Let that empower you, okay? Through the ranges of ages. You have to consider everything for your individual circumstance and take accountability that it may or may not go right, but at least there's hope that it can be done, okay? ESP, it's fine. I understand. I love you. More Alaska for me. Yep, excellent. That's what I figured out one time. Like, when someone doesn't like what you like, that means there's more of that for you. Give me an example, Inspirational Nomad. Okay, your friend doesn't like Asian MILFs. Okay, that means more Asian MILFs for you. Okay, your friend doesn't like Florida. Okay, and I believe that Florida will never be overpopulated. Why? Most people do not want to live in Florida all year round. And even if they think they do, once they move there, they leave because it's too hot all year round for most people. Okay, so what I can tell you is, when someone doesn't like Alaska, that means more for you. Anytime someone doesn't like what you like, that means that's what makes the world go round, okay? I had a short Haitian guy. He was one of my best friends growing up. He liked big, white, fat chicks, okay? And so when we would go to a party and we would see some big, we're like, he gonna clean up because I'm not going in. So everyone has different desires, okay? So what I can tell you is that's what makes the world go round. Good job. It's true. It's true. Upscale. Alaska is beautiful. Is beauty. It's just rugged as hell. Yeah, too rugged. I like flatland. I don't like mountains. I've been in the mountains of Vermont. I don't like driving up mountains. I don't like the air up mountains, because the higher you go in elevation, less air. I don't like the atmosphere, no ocean. But again, it's just me. I like flat land. I like to be able to see the ocean. That's how I like. Good job. ESP. Yes, always crack your windows. It's too easy to die of carbon monoxide. Yes, and I do have a carbon monoxide detector in my car. I think the battery went dead. I'm not going to lie to you. But I do recommend you probably get a carbon monoxide detector, $10 or so at Lowe's. Go see Stretch. He's working at Home Depot, man, working hard, selling those things. So that's definitely true. Good job, guys. All right, we'll take one more hydration break. If you guys want to talk about anything else, leave them in the comments. If not, you know what we do. We keep it moving. Stretch, I love you, brother. So proud of you. So proud of you, man. ESP, you know I love you. I'm proud of you also. My man, Upscale, man, you've been a great addition, man. Love to you. Gail, I think you're very inspiring. You're a very inspiring woman. I believe in you. And Bob, we're praying for you, Bob. You're going to do great. You keep taking it one day at a time, Bob. And Tony, my man Tony out there, man, checking him in Canada. Tony, you thinking about coming down? I think the Canadian border, I'm not sure. I don't know if it'll still be closed this winter for leisure travel. Like, I don't know if the Canadian snowbirds are going to be able to come to Florida for leisure travel. They may be. I don't know. I don't know the answer. So that's what I learned. The first couple of years I started to go to Florida, I didn't realize, especially in South Florida, what a heavy Canadian presence is in South Florida. Many own property. Many Canadians own property. Many come every year. So whether I'm at a campground or whether I'm in a local park, I've met so many Canadians that come down to Florida in the winter that I wonder, you know, what they're going to do this winter. I don't know if they can or they can't. I'm not sure. I remember last year I did a video on I-95 of when they shut the Canadian border and they told all the Canadians in March they got to come back up. And I was coming back up to New Jersey, and I remember making a video showing all the RVs coming up I-95. Upscale, almost election day. Yes, next Tuesday. So that'll be one thing. At least we get that over with one way or another. There will always be politics in life, guys. So don't think that after election day, politics ends. It may calm down a little, but there's always going to be politics in life. So don't be one of these people who say, oh, don't deal with politics. Don't ignore politics. It's part of life, whether at Home Depot or in the White House. So deal with it and navigate around it. And in your personal life, just do you. You know, and that's how I look at life. You know, it's just, you know, it's okay. ESP, you can drive through Canada if you're Alaskan, okay? But you must go straight through, no sightseeing. Yeah, is that what it is too? I was going to ask you that. So, because I don't know the logistics. So to travel from Alaska back to the lower 48 states of America, United States of America, do you have to go through Canada technically? So there's no way to go to Alaska to United States of America without going through Canada. Is that correct? Yeah, see, a lot of people have asked me about going to Canada or going to Hawaii. Because America, again, America is a continent. There's South America, there's North America. The United States of America is a country. And within that country, United States of America, there's 50 states. 2 of those states are outside, meaning they're not connected to the lower 48. The 2 that are disconnected are Hawaii and Alaska. And that's why I would probably never go to them. Now, Hawaii's tropical weather. I would love that. A lot of Asian MILFs. But if I want to go up I-95 and go up the country, I don't want to have to take an airplane. And if I want to leave Alaska, even though I never go to Alaska, I don't want to have to travel through another country. And that's why, for me, I'll probably always be in the lower 48 states as they reference. ESP says, you must go to and from Alaska and the lower 8 and 48. So, yeah, so I guess you got to go through Canada, she's basically saying. Yep. Yeah, Canada separates our land. Well, shout out to all my Canadians. Shout out to Tony. Again, we share a tight bond with the Canadians, so love to you guys. Appreciate you. And remember, whether you're watching this from Canada or China, we're all human. Okay, so part of the politics in life is, you know, and how wars get created is you forget that, guys, we're all human. Okay, so we have different flags, different ways we look. But at the end of the day, we're all blood, muscle, tissue, and all shit, you know what I mean? Upscale. I watched your vid, ESP. If you got to rent, just rent and get back on the road in the thaw. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with renting. I looked at renting this winter in Florida, and I'll keep that option open. And in one way, if you can find a cheap, affordable place, it may be cheaper. After you consider that, you know, you won't have to be spending a lot of money in gas, spending a lot of money out buying food. You can bunker down. You can stay stationary, cook your food in your Airbnb or whatever. you can make it just as economical if you're really focused. And even if you went a little bit over budget, it still adds a lot of comfort. And you're not committed. In the springtime, you're back on the road, like Upscale says. So remember, as a nomad, you keep all your options open, whether it's short-term rental, whether it's campgrounds, stealth camping, Airbnb, whatever. Keep all your options open, because that's why you live this lifestyle. Because the flexibility is self-care. The overcommitment is self-induced stress. That's why as soon as you sign a contract to buy a house, it's self-induced stress. That's what I did. Even now, when I think about buying anything over $5,000, there's a stress. I'm not saying you should never do that, but I always go back to keep it simple and keep all my options open, especially for the younger and middle-aged people. When you're older, it's something you have to consider, but keep your flexibility as long as you can. As long as you have your health, take care of yourself. Stretch, Airbnb, yep, prayer emoji. All right, guys and girls, I love you. I appreciate you. I have gratitude, mutual love, and respect. I hope my videos help you in some way. Thank you to all my members who support the channel. Love to you. I appreciate all your comments, too. Thank you, Bob, for the tip. Keep pushing forward. I'll see you next one. Peace.